Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Bold Lawyer Show. This is the program for you, the attorney, aspiring counsel, someone looking to learn more about the business of law. I'm JD Hoovener, owner and founder here at Bold Patents, and I'm accompanied by my number one co-pilot, Matt Colseth. Matt.
Well, hello, JD. Great afternoon to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So good to have you as always, man. And
Oh, it's great,
this is
man.
it.
It's a fun time of the year, kind of getting a bunch of projects wrapped up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's busy. It's busy. The USPTO tends to just kind of grind to a halt, though, unfortunately.
Yes, they do.
We're busy, but like they don't care. They're on their own schedule.
Nope, they do not care. Big Brother does not care about us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's see. I've got a really fun guest for you, listeners out there. And I'm going to he's getting his lighting set up. You see by the title there, it's Levi Barlavi with Pacific Health Law Group. So we'll have him on in just a minute. But if this is your first time watching, or maybe you're watching this after the fact, we are live. This is not just a pre-recorded program. We're live on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific. And so check us out, listen to what we got to say, ask a question, right? We have two counselors on, and usually we have a guest. And the whole goal of the show here is to get to know some founders of law firms, right? Hear what it's like to start your own firm, why in the world you'd want to go through all that torture, and how they have managed to make it, right? Survive, hear their story, what's worked, what have they found not to work, and then where do they plan to go? So this is where you're going to find that out. Matt, we're going to bring our guest on. Do you have anything else you wanted to bring on before we?
No, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Let's
All right.
get this work.
Levi Barlavi, welcome to the show.
Hey guys.
What's up?
How are you?
Doing good. Very good.
Oh, better than I deserve.
Awesome.
Good to see both of you, Matt, JD.
Yeah. Well, this is one of those things, like, we're attorneys, and you asked me before hey, what is this program all about? What are we going to be talking about? And it's like, it's a little uncomfortable, to be just sharing, right? And I think this is one of these things that's sort of the stigma, at least when I was graduating, or, getting close to graduating law school. It's like, how do I learn about, what a law firm does, right? They teach you how to obviously read the law, understand it, analyze it, but getting into law, it's always one of those mysterious things. So that's kind of the goal of this podcast, is to, break down some of those barriers, shed some light on what it's like being in a law firm, and specifically having your own firm, and the business of law, kind of everything that goes along with that, including the legal work and then everything else. So without further ado, I'd love to get your founder story, Levi. Have you share. I'll put you on the limelight, put you on the big screen, and give you a chance to share us kind of what inspired you, to start your own practice.
Yeah, probably the exact opposite of what I tell all my clients is, you got to start with a vision and then try to see it through. Yeah, I kind of did it backwards. I just kind of threw myself in the deep end of the ocean. So my founder story was after graduating law school, I went to work for small litigation firm, defense firm, and a great group of people, but frankly, I just didn't like the work. And it was around the time that I had met my wife, and we started getting very serious, and I knew I wanted to go out on my own. And I took a trip, and right before I was supposed to get on the flight, take a red eye out of LAX in the afternoon, one of the senior partners came up to me and gave me assignment at like 4:30 in the afternoon and said it's due before I leave. So I kind of decided I wasn't going to come back to the firm after that.
Yeah, right.
That was many, many years ago. And then, I kind of hung my shingle here in Los Angeles, doing a hodgepodge of things, including employment litigation, some PI litigation. And then, as is the case with, a lot of attorneys, I kind of backed into the work I do right now. So I represent entrepreneurial doctors in their business transactions. I work with dentists mostly on their practice startups, acquisitions, sales, private equity, joint ventures. Mm-hmm. And it kind of started with my wife. My wife's a dentist. My sister's a doctor. I got a lot of healthcare professionals in my family.
Right.
And once you put out a shingle, man, anyone who knows you, believe it or not, will start asking you for legal advice. And so I got a lot of doctors in my organic social circle just asking me to review contracts for them. And that kind of led to a chain of events where I was like, all right, this is a good group of people. I like the work. I like deal making. It's more conducive to my personality. And I just dove head first into it.
Nice. So I love that. So it's not like you had this perfect like vision plan, right? Where everything, the business plan was all laid out. You got funding from your, rich uncle or whatever, and you just got to just go into it, to your dream. You said you kind of had to just feel it out. It was friends and family, right? It was close relationship.
Oh yeah. Oh, I threw myself in the deep end. I didn't know anything about business plan or how to budget or expenses. Yeah, Matt's raising his hand. I didn't know anything about sales, nothing about the business side of law that you never learn when you're in law school. And we didn't have great resources like this.
The audacity of the attorneys who taught us? We have to learn how to use it, QuickBooks. We got to keep financial records. Can you believe that?
Yeah, right.
So annoying.
I remember just being scared to death about the IOLTA. I was like, okay, I'm not going to put any money in there and touch it ever. Let me find a way to not charge.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly my thought too. I mean, you see all these ethics complaints coming out and, opinions, right? They all have to do with IOLTA. So I was like, you know what? I'm not ever going to do IOLTA. I'm just going to do flat fee services. And that way I don't have to deal with it.
Okay, but you mentioned litigation. I mean, that to me, the most nerve-wracking thing, right? I never did any kind of moot court. I was just like, no. I'm going to do something transactional. I'm going to stay a geek, stay technical, be a patent attorney. You went out there. Were you showing up in court? Were you really on the hustle? Like,
oh yeah. I clerked for a judge for a year and I did employment litigation for a couple of years. So, I knew enough to get in trouble.
Okay.
But yeah, I was showing up to court, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning for hearings and doing depositions. And I frankly, it didn't feed the soul. I didn't see the point. Most of the time your clients aren't happy with what's going on. And I didn't want to stay in the fight. So I like putting deals together.
Okay.
And so, once I did my first transaction, I was hooked.
So give us the timeline a little bit. So when was this? How long ago?
Yeah. So I started my practice, I think, about 3 years out of law school.
Okay.
So it was
you
very
see how he's
early.
dodging the question about when he started his practice?
So this is 2015, 2016, right?
So this was it's 2023. This was probably around 2000. Oh, the timing couldn't have been better. It was like right after the Great Recession. It was like 2009. The economy's gone to crap, and I decided I'm just going to go out on my own.
Wow. Okay. And
for those younger listeners at home, 2009 was about when the first iPhone came out.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So I started law school in 2009, 2010, and I went part-time. But I was like, you know what? The economy's going down. I'm just going to go to school. But you were done, and you're ready to go make money in this awful economy, and so you're doing litigation. So you're kind of not sure. You're kind of feeling out different practice areas, right? So when did you get your first taste of a transactional? You know what I mean? When did the light bulb go on? We're like, oh my gosh, hey.
Well, I got a few people asking me to help them with some contracts, and then, this is better. This is just better. Believe it or not, I'm solitary. I'm generally an introverted person, so I like being in a quiet room, reviewing stuff, researching.
Yep.
So once I started doing that, the money came faster, right? People pay your bills instead of waiting for a contingency payment to hit. And so I started researching mergers and acquisitions. And I basically, after law school, did like a 2-year self-study on mergers and acquisitions.
Really?
Until I felt comfortable. Yeah. Until I felt comfortable working on deals. And then slowly started with some friends, and then their friends, and then I started advertising to dentists, and I just started building up a niche.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you so you're the sort of study stuff? I mean, that's commendable. So you almost got a little mini LLM.
Yeah.
You have a mentor? Anybody guiding you on this early days?
No, I learned all this stuff about, finding a mentor and joining study clubs and, how to talk to people about sales. The biggest lesson I think I learned, and this is true of entrepreneurship. This is why I absolutely love entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, puts a mirror in front of you, and you learn a lot about yourself. You learn, where you're deficient in skill sets, what you don't know. And if you're really honest with yourself and able to ask for help, you can have tremendous personal growth being an entrepreneur. And the biggest lesson I learned was I was totally scared to ask people for help. So, I was swimming in the deep end of the ocean. I was drowning, and I was just scared to admit that I didn't know what I was doing. And so,
Right.
it took some close relationships, family members, an uncle, joining a mentorship program with a very dear friend, senior attorney who's now almost like a second mom, to kind of like help me out, open my eyes, and kind of just have someone in my corner, both professionally and personally, to get me through the hard parts of entrepreneurship.
Got it.
That's a really good point, Levi. I mean, listening to you kind of talk through your story. I mean, JD and I are a couple of years after you, right, entering this terrible market, but you just don't know what you don't know when you start your own practice, right? You're like, there's some paperwork. I should probably get some sort of malpractice insurance. I need a website, right? What else?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I started out, I would get phone calls from prospective clients, and I would just talk to them about my services.
Yeah.
And then they would say, "Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much." And I'll just hang up the phone, and I just wait and hope that they call me back.
Yeah.
Knowing nothing about like the sales process and the fact that, like everyone else, these doctors have 50 things going on in their life, and you're just maybe number 45 on the list. And by tomorrow, you'll be number 95 on the list. And if you don't keep up and, really communicate your services with prospective clients, you're never going to get a sale. So these are the things I learned early on.
Yeah, what a great point. I mean, I know JD is all about the sales and the sales pipeline, the sales funnel, right? But that's something that, I had no clue about. How do you track, potential clients, right? How do you follow up in a timely fashion? When do you send the legal services agreement? Now, these are things that we figure out.
Or how do you talk to potential clients like a human being and not like a robotic lawyer,
Right.
and just throw legalese at them. One of the biggest lessons I learned, I have an uncle who's one of the top rated car salesmen in the country, and he doesn't know much about cars. So I would ask him, like, how do you do it? And, he's just an incredible, he has this incredible skill set of just connecting with other human beings and just connecting on an emotional level. And he just, so one night I took him out. I said, listen, you just got to tell me what you know. You got to teach me. And so we practice, and he would say, you sound like a robot. Like you tell him all this legal stuff, but you're not connecting with the person on the other side of the line. Every client that comes through your door is a human being who is going through some sort of traumatic experience or some sort of life-altering experience, and they need you and your help to get them to whatever promised land or rectify whatever situation is going on. And so if you're not speaking to that kind of emotional journey of your client, you're never going to make a connection with them and get them to trust you with the work that they ultimately want them to give you. So that once I learned that, it kind of my office started taking off, my firm started taking off.
Got it. Was that your bat signal, Matt?
Yeah, sorry, I'm a volunteer firefighter, so every once in a while the pager goes off. Always at the wrong time.
Thank you for your volunteering and your service out there in Minnesota.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's a ton
So
of
that
fun.
mustache, Matt, it's not from Movember. It's just part of the job.
Oh, it's for Movember, but yeah, it's really functional too. So like when I go
Yeah.
into a fire, if I get there, I don't have my mask and stuff. I just wet the mustache down and just
It's the
jump
suit.
in.
That'd be all right. Okay, so let's talk about maybe kind of as your first major growth moment of your firm, you kind of developed this niche pretty early. It sounds like in terms of doctors. But you and I have had chats before, and how did you develop sort of this network of professionals that just know you and get referrals, right? How do you nurture that? How do you start that?
Yeah. So the best way to do that is identify who's your client and who else do they work with. And so for me, that was who are the CPAs, the lenders, the financial advisors, the insurance brokers that all almost exclusively work with doctors. And I just started, man, I would spend my whole day driving to people's offices, asking if I could take them to coffee. Well, calling them first and then asking them out to coffee and just get them to know me. I remember there was one CPA who, I would send an email every 3-4 months and he just wouldn't respond. And then finally, he 2 years later, he's like, all right, let's go out to lunch. We grabbed lunch and he became one of my best referral sources. So you really got to, identify who your client is and then identify who else do they work with who can be a potential source of referral to your business, because ultimately that is the best way to get clients is through referral sources, because they're already vetted and they validated you.
No, that's so smart, Levi. I appreciate that. So often I think we chase clients when we should be chasing, who oftentimes are kind of one and done, at least in my line of work. But instead of chasing clients so much, you're more looking for those referral partners, right? Whether that's paid or unpaid, or just expanding your network to find other attorneys who have similar or overlapping clients. That's what JD and I have done, right?
But I just took a big note because I'm like overlooking this. I'm like, I'm hearing this. I've been, you know what I mean? This is ongoing, and I'm not doing enough of this, right? Our vendors are talking probably with designers and manufacturers. I'm not doing enough networking.
And then you got to nurture it, right? Yeah. It's just a relationship you got to nurture. I remember I got 3 little kids, and when COVID hit, we just got swamped. We had all the kids studying at home and trying to do Zoom schooling with the first grader and kindergarten, and then we got a baby, and like all of those relationships started kind of fraying because I wasn't keeping in touch with people because it was such a hard time.
Yeah.
And then people started noticing. So I had to really double down once we got out of COVID. So it never goes away, especially with referral relationships. You always have to nurture them and keep in touch with people.
I love this conversation. I probably could take another hour on this. Referrals. So, I mean, something I do, I feel guilty. I'll just say it. When I get referrals and have really no means of referring back, and in Washington State, that's where we're headquartered. We're not allowed to do referral fees. It feels odd, but nurturing, maybe just give them a call. Just say, hey, look, here's an update on the client you sent to us, or hey, here's a gift. Well, what do you do? I guess maybe if you can't financially compensate.
Yeah, to the extent that we can refer clients back. We identify if our clients need anyone who's missing in their kind of team, and we'll try to put them in touch with good referrals. But sometimes it's as simple as if we get a referral, Jennifer, my client service director, will email the referral source and let them know, we just got this doctor referred to our office by your office. We just wanted to thank you, acknowledge that they've been set up with a meeting. The fact that they're seeing that acknowledgement, that thank you and appreciation, it goes a long way. It's great to get referrals back, but sometimes the best thing you can do is just take good care of someone else's referral, because that rebounds back to them and the clients are just happy.
Yeah.
And so they win the goodwill ultimately, that the person who's referring out really is taking good care of them, not just in the line of work that they have, but in the work that they don't do.
Cool.
That's super smart. I love that. And I don't know, Levi, about you, but at my firm, we track that. We track exactly where every client comes from, whether it's a social media referral, an attorney of counsel partner referral, if it's just an organic friends, family kind of thing. But I track exactly like who referred them to me, even if there's no, referral fee arrangement or anything like that. And then also kind of how I got them, right? Is it from my own networking or advertising or anything like that? Do you do something similar?
Matt, you're doing a better job than I am. I just started to like pound into these kind of nuances and KPIs in my firm in the last year. So this is something we're developing in terms of tracking who's sending us a referral each month, where are we getting our referrals from, where are we getting our clients from. The more, and I've learned a lot of this from JD too, the more you can track numbers, the more you can learn about how your firm operates and improve processes.
On that note, what would you say, just since you've been focusing on numbers, what are some of the simple, easy numbers that someone who's never done number tracking before can implement? What should they start looking at if they're going to start?
The easiest one I think that every firm should do is how many leads do we get a month? And how many clients do we convert from those leads? And if you want to get better at it, how many leads do we get of those leads, which are clients that we want to work with, so qualified leads, and then what's our conversion rate? How many clients do we get a month?
Perfect.
And then, from there, if you have, an average amount that you make per client, those numbers can tell you a lot in terms of, if you want to grow, what you need to do.
Love it. Thank you. All right. You mentioned the client service directors. I want to get to this. Okay. So tell me, when did your firm become more than just Levi? When did you have your first hire, and how did you come up with that? Walk us through that.
About 6-7 years ago, I was just a solo operator for many, many years. And then about 6-7 years ago, I just started hiring part-time help. So it would be law students and law clerks, and then eventually it would be like summer associates, and maybe a staff member. It never worked out well for me because I was kind of doing it part-time, and I really didn't know what I wanted them to do. I just know I needed help. So that's another learning lesson. For me, what happened was COVID hit, and I had one attorney working for me, and then he kind of left to do something else, and I was back down to just myself. And so I took COVID time to really develop a vision of what I wanted from the practice after we got out of it. And so I did this exercise, this vivid vision exercise, where I kind of mapped out what do I want my firm to look like, feel like, and operate like in 3 years. And part of that was I wanted an assistant, like a full-time executive assistant, but I didn't just want an assistant. I want a client-facing employee who could kind of manage our matters and help with a lot of stuff with the, so I just said, I want a client service director. It sounded really good.
Yeah.
And I had a vision for what they were going to do. And then I hired Jennifer, and she really just grew into it. I said, this is where we want to be in a few years. She just started the first year learning about the practice and what I do and doing executive assistant work. And then slowly, once she learned all the processes, she does a lot of our intakes, a lot of our scheduling, answers clients' questions that, are routine FAQs. And
Levi, can I ask a question for you about kind of when you decided to hire that first employee or that second, or, however, what was it that you got to a point where you were running out of time, or you wanted more time back for your family? Or was it that you kind of hit what you perceived as like, the ceiling on your income for the revenue for the firm, and you're like, hey, I got to hire someone else so that I can do more work, right, to increase the firm's revenue. What was the thought process there?
Yeah, for me, I was just burning the candle at both ends. It was 2019. I was hitting my best year, but I was just working all of the time, and something had to give. So, when we shut down and like all my deals stopped, I said, all right, this is the break I wanted. It was a scary time, but I was like, I can't control what's going on, but I can now use this time productive to think about what I want to happen in 6 months. So it was purely, I just couldn't work the way I was working anymore. It wasn't smart. So it was a lot of, what can I not be doing, and who can do that instead?
Yep. And I know you've got your first associate now.
Yeah.
So someone else doing legal work.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was Lloyd's been with me for 2 years, so going on 2 years, and that was a huge jump to kind of feel like I'm comfortable, because I was always scared of hiring someone's going to take a bet on me, and maybe we don't have enough revenue to pay their salary or whatnot. So what I did for the second hire was I just made sure I had enough in the bank to cover at least 1 year's salary of that first hire.
Dang, that's pretty good.
I know, I'm very conservative.
Yeah, no, good for you.
and then I made the hire, and that's been one of the best kind of evolutions of my firm, is because I absolutely love having a team. I love mentoring and growing the team and seeing them develop, and seeing Lloyd now do his own matters. And we have weekly meetings to do high level team stuff, and I'm really getting a lot of joy out of that the last few years, and I hope we're going to add another attorney hopefully next year and continue to grow.
That's so good. And I wanted to bring you on because you've got this really cool story you just shared with us, but you're 10 plus years in and you're not happy. You want to grow. You want to go big. Tell us what you're planning on, right? Where do you see your firm 5 years from now?
My hope is that we have we've kind of doubled or tripled in revenue in the next few years. And believe it or not, people say, first of all, it is because of the money. Like, there's no shame in saying, I want to make more money. So it's one, because of the money, but also, growing a team feels like the most fun I can have in the next 5 years, being able to mentor more attorneys, bring more attorneys, let them loose, let them, be creative and be part of like the development of the firm. So that really excites me. Yeah. So part of the growth is we need to grow in order to add more team members so I can do the things that I want to do in the next few years.
Awesome. Yeah, it is Pacific Health Law Group, right? So it's that, more than one individual. And I think, thinking back to when I started giving away some work, there was some hesitation, right? Hey, who's doing the work? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be really good? As good as I would have done it. And it took me a while to get over that hurdle. And so you've started doing that with Lloyd. And,
it's a big step.
It's a big step. Matt, how about you? You've ever had an associate?
No, haven't had an associate. I've had 3 paralegals now. I have just 1 paralegal now, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough to give it away, right? And when do you make that person, client facing? And I've been lucky that 2 of my 3 paralegals have been exceptional. Like I just recently hired a new paralegal 3 weeks ago, and she's really talented. So
that's awesome. That's super good.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to kind of trust, but I think you can take it. You don't have to be uncomfortable. I think, Levi, you're right. In a lot of ways, you're conservative, and you get to be, right. That's your choice. And so, taking your time, making sure you got the right decisions, the right, cushion, if there's a mistake or you need to, let someone go, it's your own kind of, I feel like I got lucky and decided to just delegate really fast. And now to the point to where I would never personally want to take on a case because my attorneys are so freaking good. They're just incredible, way better than I am. So it's very different, very different. You're still very much in the mix. And
I mean, even though I've been doing this for so long, I feel like it's pre 2020 and now post 2000. Post 2020, my firm feels different. I feel like I'm in a different mindset. Things are changing, and it's good. Even though I don't enjoy, but I think it's good to make yourself uncomfortable and push your boundaries, because I think the monetary stuff is fine, it's great, but for me personally, my philosophy is that I'm always most content when I can look back and see my personal growth in any capacity of my life, whether that's personal or entrepreneurial. And so you can't do that unless you get uncomfortable and do stuff that you don't really want to do.
Yes. Like be on a live podcast.
Yeah.
Congrats for doing that. I do want to be respectful of both of your guys' time. We're at the end of our half hour. Levi, if someone's listening, probably after the fact, there's one live listener right now, and they'd like to get a hold of you, maybe reach out, ask you something personal. Are you willing to share your email address?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can connect with me at Levi, Levi, at pacifichealthlaw.com. I'm always happy to talk to young attorneys, especially.
Perfect.
About their, I do it often about their journey and how, any advice I can give them.
So good. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Matt, thanks for joining and co-hosting with me.
Pleasure.
Bold Patents and our team here. We'll see you guys next week on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.